The Secrets of Technology is brought to you by the StarQuest Production Network and is made possible by our many generous patrons. If you'd like to support the podcast, please visit sqpn.com/give. Hi, I'm Dom Bettinelli, and you're listening to The Secrets of Technology, where we discuss the technology news that's important to you from a uniquely Catholic point of view. Joining me today on the panel are Father Joseph Sund. Hey, Father.
Good to be with you.
And Thomas Sanjurjo. Hey, Thomas.
It's great to be here.
So it is as we record this, the beginning of the school year. Some kids have been in school for almost a month now, which, as someone from New England, that kind of blows my mind. We don't go to school until around Labor Day. But it is the beginning of the school year, and so that means it's a great time to talk about school and school tech. And this time we want to get into a little bit about safety, schools, tech, and safety, and the sorts of things parents should know, and everyone should know, really, about the safety around school technology. And I wanted to talk to you both about this because you're both backgrounds as educators, in Catholic school educators. So, Father, you work in a Catholic high school right now, right?
Yes, I teach 2 sections of senior theology, so day in and day out now. So good. And Thomas, you taught in a Catholic school as well, right?
Yes, I was actually the tech teacher for quite a while at the Catholic school that I was at, and still homeschooling my kids, so kind of the same extension there.
Yeah, so I'm deep in the heart of a lot of the things we're going to talk about today, even though we homeschool as well. So let's get into it. Father, I think you're the one who suggested this website to me that we should be kind of form the basis of our discussion this time. It's a website called techsafelearning.org, and it's from a group of people who the founders of this Tech Safe Learning Coalition. They're people who have surrounded this area, parents and other people involved who have been in the trenches of the dangers of tech in schooling. Rose Bronstein's son took his own life after cyberbullying. She's one of the founders. Nikki Petrossi is a mother, but also a former social media exec. I think at Facebook. I'm not positive. It doesn't say in her bio, but she now is a social media reform advocate, and it talks a lot about making tech safe for kids. So this website is a resource for everyone of sort of explaining, especially to the older generations, what the dangers actually are. Things like cyber, and I'll name the ones that they list: cyberbullying, harmful content. We'll get into the details in a bit. Unwanted interactions, substandard education, privacy concerns, mental health, and physical health. And they discuss them, but they also give resources for you to use, resources like templates for letters to write to administrators, or other things to link to read about, more deeply in these areas. So it's really the basis for our discussion. And I kind of want to jump into some of the dangers that are out there for kids and we're just specifically talking about dangers that they face in an educational context. Now, there's other home-based, things that they can get into. So there's a lot of overlap, obviously, but this is specifically having to do with educational, the educational realm. When kids spend a lot of time every day in an educational context. So this is addressing tech safety in those contexts specifically. One of the things that kind of prompts a lot of this is there's been a lot of recognition of the dangers. And one of the things that a lot of states are starting to do and local districts are banning cell phones in school. Let's see, according to this, I'll have a link to a Fortune article about how 17 states have passed bell-to-bell bans on phones. Father, did you tell me that your school has restrictions on cell phone use now?
Yes, we have bell-to-bell restrictions, so they are not allowed to use their cell phones during the school. We are currently not a one-to-one school either on Chromebooks. They have to check the Chromebooks out. And I don't know which direction we're going to go on that one. I seem to be a little bit of a fan of limited technology in the classroom, which my students find awfully funny because I'm the techie priest, and I mistrust technology the most, which that should be obviously the case. But
right, the more you know about technology,
as soon as you get into it, the more you get into it, the more you realize that it's a tool, and it's a great tool, but it's a tool that needs to be limited in its use, really.
Yeah, and then the more you understand kids and high schoolers and attention spans, the more you understand that no, them taking notes on computers is not going to make them more productive in the learning environment. That's just
right.
Right. That's one of the things that comes up in the on the Tech Safe for Learning the Tech Safe Learning website is in the substandard education context. The topic they talk. One of the things they were often told is, if they can use the computers to take notes, that it'll be much better. I was one of the first people in my college to use a laptop in a classroom to take notes, and it was different. For one thing, I didn't have the internet on my laptop back then. You didn't have Wi-Fi anywhere. Wi-Fi didn't exist in 1994, essentially. I know it sort of did, but not for me. And so it was different, and it was harder to take notes in Word. I might modify that by say, if with an iPad and an Apple Pencil, might be a little different. It might be a lot more like handwriting notes. It is essentially handwriting, because that's one of the things they say is handwriting. They've found that when you have to handwrite your notes, you learn the material better. You absorb it better than if you're typing it. And
translate it into characters. It actually does something in your brain. There's a piece of your brain that gets activated when you are writing, and you are converting the information from one source type to another. The problem with typing is that if you're typing at speed, you're good enough at the typing that the typing is second nature, and you're not even you're not even transcribing. You're just quickly moving the information to your fingers without even intaking the information. And one of the things that's really advantageous with actual handwritten notes is that you will develop a shorthand, regardless of who you are. You will develop some kind of shorthand that means that you are consuming the information and processing it into whatever that shorthand is that you develop, so that you can keep up.
Yeah, like the typing thing. I am at the point with typing where if I'm typing something and someone walks in to talk to me, I can start having a conversation with them and not stop typing the other thing that I was doing. It's automatic. It's second nature. So yeah, I'm not learning that. Yeah, that is key. I can't do that with handwriting, stuff. If I tried to do that, the pencil would go all over the page. So yes, so that's
I remember shorthands that I had for some professors, specifically in seminary, that when they were making jokes or off the cuff comment, I would take notes on them, and so that would. The
shorthand in certain classes, especially certain professors who are so fast, you had to. Yeah, it's actually funny. Sometimes we would get together as students afterward and compare notes, so everyone could pick up what you missed.
Because you missed something, right? When you were handwriting things, you missed something. I remember one class I was walking clear across campus. I was coming from a Hebrew class and going to an art class, and the notes in that art class, I was writing from right to left. And so I had to figure out how to read my notes from right to left, because I had just gotten in this mode of writing that way from Hebrew, and my brain had not switched over yet to the other one.
Yes, it would have been funny if you were writing notes in your art class in Hebrew. That would have been really funny.
I would have known I had succeeded at that point. That would have been that would have been fantastic. But it's those kind of things that you don't get. And I talk to my kids about this a lot too. Where same kind of thing with looking things up online. Right, we have a physical copy of an encyclopedia in our home, so that we can direct our kids to go look information up in that physical encyclopedia, because there is something functionally different about the exploration of physical media to interact with it. You're going to be ending up with basically the same information, but the process of getting there triggers something different in your brain than the process of getting it on an electronic device.
Hunting. It's the hunting instinct, you know. Also, I think I've said this before on this podcast too, is the serendipity value of going of looking through a dictionary or an encyclopedia or any type of reference book, because if you're at all a curious person, you will encounter things in the process of going where you intend to go that will grab your attention and lead you on different paths. You will discover new things that you didn't know you wanted to discover. That's the sort of thing you're not going to get if you just go to Wikipedia and enter in the search term, or worse, go to ChatGPT and ask it for the answer, which may or may not be correct. So yes, there is a value in the physical media. One thing that they bring up on this website that I want to ask you about is they have caution about the use of Minecraft, and specifically a product called Minecraft for Education. Now, I know, Thomas, I know you're a big Minecraft fan. I don't know about you, Father, but my kids are big Minecraft fans as well. What do you? They don't get it. They talk about some privacy concerns with having kids use Minecraft for Education, especially younger kids. But what other concerns do you think there are with programs like Minecraft for Education? Because frankly, teachers will go, "Hey, Minecraft, kids love Minecraft. Here's a way to use that to teach them stuff."
It's actually funny, because it's the same problem you're going to have with any educational tool that you use. It's the hazard in education is that it's a lot easier to just let go of the control of that thing when it's an electronic system. So you get the kid logged in, there's a lesson, they can follow the lesson, done. And I'm not going to have to worry about it. Right. And that's problematic, because if you don't, I used Minecraft for education for a while with some of the things I was doing. And you really have to, as a teacher, know what the lesson is that the kids are presented with, and then be able to reinforce that outside of just the lesson that they're doing. So you need to take what they're learning in that lesson and then reapply it externally to the game, because otherwise it becomes just part of the game. They're just solving a puzzle in the game, and they don't connect that to the broader perspective. Now, the lesson plans are great. They're really well done, but you definitely, and this is across the board with electronic educational systems, you have to couch it in some other skill that they're learning. I had the advantage of being the tech teacher, so I could just set them on doing something in the younger kids in Starfall, or the older kids in something like Minecraft Education Edition, and the value that I was getting was they were learning mouse skills, they were learning keyboard skills, they were learning interactive skills with the technology that they were dealing with in a fun way that had other educational value to it. So there were some other things on top of it. But then I would also turn some of those lesson plans over to the teacher in the classroom that they went back to and say, okay, they learned these things. Can you reinforce them in the classroom? And that helped take the educational piece of the electronic stuff that they were doing and then bring it back to them in a very solid, real way. And so that's one side of it. The other side of it is there's definitely a little bit of a security concern, a privacy concern, because in a lot of these games, there is some kind of social component. And you'll get onto a world that is interactive, and the whole purpose of it is that you are in a group interacting with this world. Now, ideally, it's set up in such a way that it's only the kids in the group that they are in their cohort that they're with. But that requires a little bit of know-how on the teacher's part. So if the teacher's not savvy in how to set the teams up properly, they might not know which kid is attached to which gamer tag, or which group they are assigned to, and then they get assigned to a more public group than they're expecting. And so there needs to be some level of knowledge to it for it to be used properly. And Microsoft, to their credit, has done a really good job of trying to set it up as simply as they can. But there is a barrier there. There is a minimum level entry barrier that a regular classroom teacher probably shouldn't be using this. It should be more dedicated towards a tech dedicated teacher.
Right. Even for me, trying to set it up with my son, because he was doing an online class for a programming class that uses Minecraft for education. And I was trying to set it up for him to use. And it was like, I should know how to do this. It wasn't easy. I mean, I had to work through it. So it's just one of those things. Like, there's a lot of these tools that requires some expertise that isn't in the toolbox of the average teacher. And so it's still not quite that easy. Among the problems they look at for possible, things that could cause substandard education, increased distractions, these things are connected to the internet. And so there's the possibility of social media, games, messaging friends during school hours or even after school hours. Decreased socialization, I don't know, like more time on the Chromebooks or iPads in class. Well, they're not supposed to be socializing in class anyway. They're supposed to be working, studying. So I don't know. I feel like some of their concerns are a little more overblown than I think, but you kind of expect that from people who are advocates, that they tend to be a little more cautious. But one that
caught my eye that was really interesting was the privacy concerns about edtech companies collecting data. And this is absolutely true. It was one of the things that I did my best to try and find companies that were not doing this kind of thing, where they were collecting data about all of the things that were being done. And it's impossible to find them 100%, but the ones that actually provided any kind of acknowledgement of the fact that they were doing it, and a consent form that allowed for parents to opt in or opt out on these data points was really, it was hard to find. And it was really good when you did find a company that did something like that. And almost none of them that had some kind of a public facing component. Like, I don't want to pick on anyone in particular, because the one I'm about to mention is really nice and does a really good job. But like Tinkercad had students could store their creations on Tinkercad's website, and even in that, it was really hard to discover how to claim ownership of those items that the student made, so that they could own it and take it off of the site and do something else with it. There were hoops that you had to jump through to do it. So it's a lot of gray area, because in a lot of ways, the teacher will sign kids up, they will put them on the app, and then they will put them into the app and work. And all of those data points on those kids are being collected without the information going back or being approved by the parent ultimately.
Right.
Yeah, but there is laws in place to try to protect some of that stuff, but it's limited on what it falls under, and all of these tech companies are trying to find how they can scoot around them and what they can still do.
And sometimes they're not trying to scoot around it, but they're just a little sloppy. They're collecting data that they don't really necessarily want the data. Like, some of them are probably skeevy and want data on the kids. Some are just collecting data because it's part of the program. It's just the way it is, and they didn't spend the extra time to wall it off so that they weren't collecting kids' data. And so because that's one of the big digital privacy issues in general is data leakage. We're all leaking data everywhere. It's not that it even necessarily that which people are looking for. It's just the way the internet is. It's a bunch of leaky pipes where our data is going everywhere. And it's true for kids. I mean, there's a slew, like you said, there's a slew of laws out there to protect kids, and there's all kinds of policies. Like, you could, like, one of the things that this Tech Safe for Learning site says is Minecraft for Education has a minimum age of 13, and you have schools rolling this out to kids who are in like first, second, third, fourth grade. Mm-hmm. Like the Microsoft, which owns Minecraft, they've said we don't want your 10-year-olds here, but that's not. But the school, probably well-meaning and doesn't even think about it, puts the kids on there when they shouldn't be. So there's a lot of this sort of thing out there. It's a lack of overall coordination and understanding of a very large, complex thing, which we've basically over the past 30 years have rolled out as fast as we could, partly because political considerations. If I'm going to get a little political here, but this is not partisan. This is every politician. If a politician wants to look good, he does it for the kids. He'll roll out another program that spends lots of money on kids, on education.
It's all for the kids.
Yes,
and it's great. The shiny new technology, right? That's
right.
So it's for the kids and it's shiny new technology. What could go wrong here? This is perfect. This is a match made in heaven.
It's a shiny new technology. Look at these Ginsu knives. Let's just hand them to a bunch of kids. It's essentially what we're doing. So some of the other dangers they point out is things like cyberbullying, which can be rampant in certain quarters. In my local school district, there was a big to-do over kids forming gangs, and like kids being mean to kids is as old as the hills, right? That's This is just a new way of kids being mean to kids, right. And it's a new way for it to happen where a kid can't get away from it. It used to be you go home from school, at least you're at home. Now it follows you there, and that's the danger, is that it's a constant presence because these kids are constantly online.
And it's difficult because there's I'm going to bring it up later, but I'm going to go ahead and mention it now. There's a fantastic TED Talk. It came out 15 years ago. I'm amazed that it came out 15 years ago, but it's by this lady named Amber Case. It's called "We Are All Cyborgs Now." And she is a cyborg anthropologist. That's her shtick. But what she is saying is that we are not digital natives. The group of us that's in that late 30s, early 40s range. We grew up before the internet was really a thing the way it is, and then got to do all of our adolescent stuff before there were cameras focused on every moment of our life, and then moved into the digital age and got to experience the birth of Facebook and social media and learning about it and all of that kind of stuff as a second adolescence. And the problem is that all of the kids that are growing up now, they have to do both of these adolescences at the same time. And it's phenomenal the way she frames it, because it really is. It's such a complex problem that they have to experience all of those social issues that we had to experience of being awkward around people, but they have to do it in real life and also online and navigate both of them at the same time.
What it's a lot like is like Hollywood child actors. Because they have to be adults and kids at the same time. They have to navigate this public world at the same time as they're trying to be kids. Look how wonderful that is for all those Hollywood child actors, all the great outcomes that they've had. This is what we're doing to all of our kids. But one of the things that I find myself pointing out to a lot, I'm Gen X, so I'm older than you guys, but a little bit anyway. And a lot of things at times I have to point out to fellow Gen X. I'm sort of at the tail end of Gen X parents with kids in school still. But even older millennials, it's not like it was when we were their age. School isn't like it was. Socialization isn't like it was. The world is very different. This is why they say, okay, boomer, because the world isn't the same as it was for the boomers or for us. It is different. Yes, we're living in this world, but we've gradually had to deal with it. When you're 14 years old, 15 years old, it is a whole different world than it was when I was 14 or 15.
They speak a completely different language.
It's the same, but what's that?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, they speak a completely different language. And that's any parent who's experienced this. And I really want to stress this, because this is one that it kind of bugs me that this is something that people don't accept. Like, we used to have language that we shared it's completely dead now. You can't say radical and mean the same thing you meant in the 80s. That was something it was weird. It was odd. It was one thing that caught on in a big way, and everybody kind of shared, parachute pants, like little stuff. There were little things that we had that caught on, but they stayed around they had a little bit of staying power, and they were very few because it became a big trend that caught on. The problem that kids have today is that they are constantly updating. Everything is constantly updating, and they are in so many small groups that the meaning that they have one day for one thing that comes up in a meme is going to change by next week. It's going to be different in a month. It's going to be completely different in a year, but it's all going to be sourced from that same kind of epicenter. And it's hard for us to keep up because we're not, chronically online the way that some of them are. But it's also hard for us to keep up because it is learning a completely different way of communicating. And sometimes be the cringe parent. Go in and learn some of the stuff that they know. Use it ironically. It is okay to embarrass yourself in front of your kids and to be really awful with that stuff, because the two things it's going to do is, one, it's going to let them know that you're informed. And if they know that you're informed, they're not going to feel like they can get away with things, that they can start talking in some kind of other language and you're not going to be able to look it up and figure out what they're saying. And two, it's going to let them realize the absurdity of what they're doing and what the meme culture is. And for some kids, they don't realize that absurdity. They know that it is unreasonable, but they don't have the vocabulary of having grown up to be able to say that. They can't vocalize the fact that it's absurd. And so they engage with it. They know it's ridiculous, but they can't figure out how to tell themselves that without the permission to say it from someone outside of themselves.
I've been
but
part
you don't
of...
you don't want to tell them it's ridiculous, because
right.
No, you're denigrating. But you want to show them by being ridiculous in a sense.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I've been part of teacher staff meetings in which we have decided that we're all going to use one word that week.
Skibbity.
It was actually Ohio. And we put an end to Ohio in our school by.
All right. I missed that one. What's Ohio?
Exactly. You're very no offense to our listeners from Ohio. What the kids think is that you're very basic, you're mid Ohio.
Almost just blend into the background and don't exist, kind of.
Oh, I see. Very bland. Yeah. So there are parts of Ohio that you could. I lived in Ohio for 4 years. So I can say it. There's parts of Ohio where not all of it. Cleveland can be exciting.
Cleveland rocks.
Yes, Drew Carey. So there's that. I mentioned the cyberbullying. They warn about harmful content. The kids get exposed to things on the devices. So I want to kind of get into some of the things that we can do. There's this website itself has a whole area of resources with guides and templates to walk you through lots of different conversations with administrators and teachers, and some of them are very specific. Like there was an app called, like a school management app called Power School, that had a breach, and so some parents don't want their information in Power School because it's just too much information there. But then there's more general things about how do we evaluate technology in schools and that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of great content there, but there's other sources for good information, and there's one, Seton Schools. This is not Seton Homeschool. This is Seton Catholic school has just as an example, has on their page a technology information policies page on their site that, you know, outlines some of the ways that they use technology, the way that it should be used on their campus, the principles behind it. This might be a nice resource for other schools to use. This is sort of as an example, but, you know, for the ethical and moral and Catholic foundational ways of using these things. There's also I get a plug for Scouting. We call it Scouting America now. It's the Boy Scouts of America. I just call it that because that's what people know it by. Boy Scouts of America does have at multiple levels an internet safety course that the kids are required to do in order to continue in scouting. And it's as cheesy as you'd expect in many ways. It's kind of cheesy, but it's still, unfortunately, my kids did not have any of the experiences that the program assumes that they had. So it really kind of went over their heads, but it's still not a bad program to look at. But so let's talk about some best practices for what to do. One of the things that comes up is the topic of opting out. Is opting out of edtech desirable or practical? That's one of the things is the teaching, the Tech Safe Learning Coalition kind of says is maybe we should just, you should just opt your kids out of all ed tech. No Chromebook, no iPad. We don't want it. Is that a practical or even desirable thing to do?
Probably not. At the very least, their grades have to be reported on technology. Most states have requirements that the reporting of grades and the reporting of things have to be done in an electronic format. And so you're not going to be able to opt them out of that. And then a lot of your teachers are going to be doing tests online. And so I like to think that most of our teachers are more mature than this, but if you're going to be that parent that makes the teacher do extra work just to opt your kid out of technology, you're going to be a headache for that teacher, and that's not going to put you on a good relational standing with your student's teacher.
Like even if we just want them to not have to like use an iPad or a Chromebook for any learning situations.
It can be complicated because when you've set up a lesson that, like say just for example, that you're presenting PowerPoints and part of what you're trying to teach the kids is how to engage with PowerPoints and make a presentation. And the two kind of dovetail, right? Because we're trying to teach them how to use educational skills. They've got to be able to do it. And if the technology that you have is this set of items that's for your classroom and one student has opted out, it becomes very difficult to make a customized lesson that's non-technology for that one particular student.
I'm going to go at a philosophical standpoint here too of, are you going to be able to completely remove your whole kid from all of the modern society things? And what is that setting them up for as an adult?
Yeah. That's really where I come to, especially with my own kids, is I would rather them experience a little bit of negativity with me able to guide them while they're home, while they're under my influence and my care, than for them to never experience anything negative. And then when they're away from me, that's when all of these things come flooding in because they don't have these hard guardrails that are keeping them from doing XYZ thing or, I would rather them explore and find the boundaries that then I can help them build for themselves, because they're going to become more significant when you're able to do that, when it's a collaborative effort with them rather than just you've set these things up and say, never go this way.
Right.
So yeah,
that's one of the yeah. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say that's one of the criticisms of homeschooling that people make, which is, if they're not socialized in these situations, what's it going to be like when they get in the real world? And I always, say, like, I have 5 kids. If you don't think that they're having to deal with interpersonal conflicts, you've never been in a house with 5 kids. So, but it is true. Like I want them to, as much of a hassle it is and we've made mistakes. I'll freely admit this with our kids with technology, but as much of a hassle it is to monitor screen time usage, to always be, on top of them. How long have you been on? Have you exceeded your time? Having to deal with screen time requests from the Apple fixed screen time. It's the worst thing and the best thing ever. You know what I mean? It's like it's what is Churchill's quote about democracy? It's the worst form of government, or next to all the other, but better than all the others. So as much as we do all this hassles, I need them to learn how to use a device, how to live with these devices. They're not going away, and you're not going to be able to live in the modern world without some exposure to devices. I don't, sure, go get one of those weird phones that only have, like they're like e-ink that only have a phone and in a text messaging thing. Like, sure, you could do that, but you're still going to get a job, and you're still going to be forced to use these things. It's part of the world. You can't get away from it unless you go move out into the wilderness. So it's better that they learn.
Yeah, it's better to have that practice and that cognizance. Now, the corollary to that is that you need a set of people that are together to teach those boundaries, to watch, to be mindful, to be conscientious about tech use, to really pay attention to what's happening. And so, the tools and this is me, I'm a glutton for punishment. So I have Google Family for all of the Google devices that my kids have. I have Microsoft Family for all the Microsoft devices my kids have. I have Amazon Kids for all of the Amazon devices my kids have. So, it's like, and I try and corral them into one type of device, but then grandma gets them something else. And it's like, okay, well, now I got to get the app for that thing too. But mine, and I wanted to, the caution here to that is like, I don't use a lot of the lockdown features that are available on them. Rather, I will just have a discussion with them on the regular to show them what they're doing. And so when they tell me, I haven't been using my device much at all, I'll sit down with them and say, okay, but your device is telling me on these 3 days you were on for more than 4 hours. And they look at that and they go, I was, and they don't know. And that's part of the thing is like, I want them to get a feel for that, for coming back to it. It's the one guy that like spent out of 5 years of his life, he had spent over an entire year on an online game. And he didn't know it until he got to the end of that time period and looked back at it and was like, that's insane. Out of 5 years of my life, an entire year was dedicated to this online game. And that's a feeling you can't get without that kind of like, review of your own behavior. And you're unlikely to set that kind of thing up for yourself as an adult unless it becomes a real problem and that you're trying to solve. So it's really good to kind of get that mentality into the student and the kid as they're growing up.
Yeah. Yes. I'll just say yes. I'm reviewing in my mind all of the things I need to do with my own kids and just the ways, we went through a period where when they first had the devices where they were finding the loopholes and getting into, the online games and PBS Kids or something, or it was, relatively innocuous things, but just not what they're supposed to be doing, and certainly not what we wanted them to do. And so it was a long slog to get them there. So some other things to think about. So we mentioned the parental controls, learn learn what they are on the devices that your kids have. I think, as you showed, if you can limit the different ecosystems, your life will be easier. Mm-hmm. So if you're able to pick Google or Apple or or Amazon, I suppose, but I'm not sure most people are going to pick Amazon as the primary one. But basically Google or Apple, your life will be easier. But it doesn't mean you can't navigate both. Frankly, I have to navigate both, even though my kids are all on Apple devices, because we use Google Docs and for a lot of the. My wife makes checklists for them every day of what they need to be working on in their homeschool, and that's all Google Docs. So it's just something we have to live with them on that.
Yeah.
So. You mentioned it's another great point, which is to talk with them regularly about online safety. It doesn't even have to be like a formal sit down. Talk about it around the dinner table.
Absolutely.
Bring up interesting things that have come up in your reading of the news or whatnot, or ask questions of you doing anything interesting on your device and that sort of stuff. So,
talk about your online friends too. I think that's something that we take for granted. Like, we have these online communities and we don't talk about the online communities as if they're real friends sometimes. Or we'll just mention the website said, right? So like Reddit said, instead of like developing an actual community of people. And if you don't have a community of people online that you're talking to, I would recommend that you develop that. If you want to join the SQPN Discord, it's absolutely a place that you could do that.
One of the nicest places on the internet.
It's fantastic.
And we work very hard to keep it that way.
Yeah. I was talking to students a while back about there's a small message board community that when I was like 10 years old, I joined. That was a QBasic programming message board.
Nice.
And we were all 10. I think the oldest of them was like 16 at the time, right? And now we're all 40-year-old guys, and we still will occasionally
that's cool.
Meet up. And I don't think any of us have ever met in person, to be perfectly honest. But
that's awesome. My kids we do a lot of homeschool classes, online classes through Homeschool Connections, which is the Catholic online homeschooling program. But they have their own message board where it's just the kids, heavily moderated. Yeah. Lots of parents involved in moderating, making sure things are going well there. And it's only the kids who are between, I think it's like 11 and 18. And once they turn 18, they're done. They graduate. And although a lot of them have gone off they started a Discord for alumni, of course. That's my 19-year-old is in that, which is great. And she's actually gone and visited friends, in real life from that. But yeah, I mean, talking about your own online friends and cultivating a healthy community, again, like in a small Discord community, I belong to a couple of them, in addition to the SQPN one, where it's a safe place. There's not ads. There's not, an algorithm trying to drive you to outrage all the time, that sort of stuff. And my wife and I, we talk about what we've talked with our friends about that day. I mean, this is my wife Melanie cultivates she's on Facebook mostly, but her Facebook is poetry and art and discussion of intellectual matters and all that sort of stuff, because that's the sort of community she's cultivated for herself. And so I think it shows you can do this. You can live in this world, and I think it's a great way of being an example to them.
I think the COVID pandemic kind of hyper put us adults into a preview of what our children are experiencing every day. And so I think it gave us a little bit of a preview. For me, honestly, this puts us back a little bit, but Catholic Twitter was big for me during COVID, just to keep some sanity and community around when I was out in rural Nebraska with no one around me. Right. Actually, I think I discovered all the SQPN stuff through Catholic Twitter is how that happened.
Good.
But yeah, but I think maybe that gives you a little envelope into the anxiety and the pressure of what happens. Is just imagine your entire social life being how you felt during those first 2-3 months of the pandemic.
Right.
Yep.
And I think it's very hard for kids to put it down. And that's the thing. I think one of the advantages that we have, both as adults and as precursors to the modern digital age, is that none of that is real, except that there is a person on the other side of the keyboard. And one of the things that I think is missing for our kids today is that knowledge that there is another person on the other side of the keyboard.
Oh, yes.
And it's dead internet theory, but it's kind of writ large in their lives that they don't have names for people that they are meeting online. They just have tags that are, like usernames that they're associating with. And there is an ability for them not to be able to create an actual person there, but that information is, and I encounter this a lot with my kids. I'm trying to figure out how to phrase it exactly, but it's kind of like it is the internet speaking to them. And so when they have someone tell them something, everybody thinks that, and they are the outlier in not thinking that.
Yeah.
And it's difficult. Go ahead.
Give an example or an analogy that older folks may get for that, which is driving. When you're driving your car, you don't really think of the people driving those cars. There's just other cars. That car cut me off. That car is, that was a jerk, or that guy is a jerk, but it's just the car. Like, you ever have a situation where someone cut you off, you were so mad at them, you've got to flip the bird at them, and then you see it's like your pastor or your uncle, somebody and it changes everything about how you suddenly feel about that person. Like, because now suddenly it's a person, it's someone you know.
Right.
I mean, it kind of explains how road rage goes out of people, it gets in people's heads. And that's kind of how kids are on the internet, because the internet is just this appliance that feeds information. And it also, we need to wrap things up, but I just want to finish up with the last thought. It kind of explains how dangerous the AI chatbots can be for kids, which is another topic that we need to address at some point.
Yes.
So that's one thing. So
yeah, there's been some bad news stories on that lately. And
yes, a couple of really bad ones. There's so much more we could say. We could go on and on, but I do want to wrap it up for now here. We'll surely come back to talk about this more, because obviously there's more to say. So for now, I do want to take a moment to thank our patrons who make it possible for us to create the Secrets of Technology, including Kevin T., Wesley B., Donald W., Greg G., and Stephanie Z. Their generous donations at sqpn.com/give make it possible for us to continue the Secrets of Technology and all the shows at StarQuest. And you can join them by visiting sqpn.com/give. So there's a couple headlines I want to talk about, but this first one is one I wanted to bring up because it came up on our Discord. Someone brought up, like, everybody change your Gmail passwords. It's the end of the world. No, it wasn't quite that bad, but it was like that. So the headline is this one from Yahoo Finance. Google issues warning to billions of Gmail users over password hack. What's going on? Did Google get hacked and all the passwords are out there? No. Okay, it's just no. So Google has warned Gmail users that a group of hackers is targeting account holders after gaining access to a database. So this group got access to a Salesforce database that has all kinds of contact information, has, for lots and, hundreds of millions or billions of people. I forget exactly how many people were in the Salesforce database, but it was a lot. And it had background information, your address, your phone number, no passwords, no social security numbers, nothing like that. But what they're doing is they're using this information to contact people to try to trick them into revealing, passwords and other things to get access to your accounts, which is the same thing that's been going on for the past 20 years with phishing attempts. It's just another source of data for these guys to use. So in the ballpark, do people have to worry?
I no more than normal. I mean, if you're really concerned, go to Have I Been Pwned and put your email in and check.
Right.
And look, if your password is still password 123, or if your password is some your first pet's name or a former address or something like that.
Yeah.
Change it. Okay. Just right. You've needed to change it for a while now. Go ahead and change it.
If it's password 123 with a capital P and an exclamation point at the end, you're safe though. I'm just kidding.
Safer. And set up two-factor authentication, set up a pass key, do all those things that we've been telling you to do for the past 3 years.
Exactly.
Just if you follow normal security protocols, you're okay. If you follow normal security like we've been telling about, even if they get your password, you're pretty safe because they still don't have the two-factor authentication. Yep. Even then, you'd want to change it if they had your password, but you're still safer than you were otherwise. So,
right.
All right. So enough said on that. Don't worry, but take normal precautions as usual. Lock your doors, folks. The other story I wanted to talk about is this Ars Technica story, where just trying to pull it up here. How when you go to buy a movie on on Apple's iTunes store, whatever they call it now, I'm going to always call it iTunes because I'm old, or Amazon Prime, or any place where you can buy digital content, and it says buy now, buy this movie, except you're not actually buying anything.
Nope.
What you're doing is you're buying a license to have access to that for as long as they let you. If you buy a movie on Amazon Prime and that movie leaves Amazon Prime, you lose that money. You lose access to that movie. They're not giving you your money back. They should.
or credit of some kind,
right.
Hey, we just had this movie leave. Here's another in that same category that you can, Right. I feel like we complained about this like a couple of weeks ago.
I think Nintendo is guilty of the same thing.
Yes. So the what's new is, and people have tried to sue over these things in the past, and they've been thrown out. But what's new is that California passed a law that makes it illegal for companies to quote unquote use the word sell, buy, purchase, or whatever next to a digital good, which you are not getting a reasonable which you would have a reasonable understanding that you own that thing now, that it's yours. So basically they aren't allowed to say buy this here. They have to figure out some other weaselly language that the lawyers will approve to say it. And so this person who's filed this new lawsuit may have more standing than the last time.
I hope so, but I think they've already kind of cornered this on a lot of them. You'll see it says purchase access instead of actually purchase, and which clearly defines what they're doing, but it's still scummy.
They'll also say it's in the terms and conditions. Didn't you read them?
Right?
No.
No reasonable person.
You only made them 30 pages long for
and size 2 font. Yeah,
exactly. And even if they lose, it's not going to change anything because we're still not going to be buying the thing that we want to buy. So it's basically rent for short term or rent for an indefinite term, essentially. I mean, there's movies I bought. I bought on Apple iTunes 20 years ago that I can still watch. So in a sense, but when I die, That goes away. I can't pass this on to my kids. I have DVDs sitting over here that my kids will get and wonder what the heck do I do with this now.
Right.
But I'll rip them before I die. That's my pledge.
Famous last words.
There's another issue of it, of when I purchased this movie, that unlike a DVD or VHS or whatever I was purchasing, right, that movie can change. So later on, they decide, the politically correct police or whatever come out, not to get political about it, right? But they come out and they
whichever direction politically correct we go. Yes.
Yeah. And they decide to change something about the movie. All of a sudden, the movie I purchased is not the movie I owned. Right.
Right. It's even more pertinent with books, for example.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's an ongoing issue, and again, I think it goes back to the question: is do we own the things we buy? And and that's why I think that there's a moral argument for ripping things. I'm not going to say pirating, because that implies that it's wrong. I think there is a moral argument for if they told me that I can buy a thing, that I should then be able to back it up, put it in other forms, keep it forever.
I would use the term back up. I'm backing up my movies.
Right. I'm backing it up by making it available to watch in whatever way I want for as long as I want, because I've bought this thing. Just like I bought my DVDs. So, or the books sitting on my shelves. That'd be an interesting. I'd like to see a moral theologian debate the morality of that claim on my part, but it'd be interesting to see. I may not want them to, because then I'd have to maybe stop.
Right.
It's not a sin if I don't know the answer to it.
If it's not a sin if no one said it's a sin yet. All right, not listening. So let's move on from that. Talk about our picks of the week. Father, why don't you go first? What's your pick this week?
My pick of the week is it's the knockoff version of the Stream Deck. So the Stream Deck is a nice little LED buttons that you have on your desk that give you shortcuts, right? And I found Fifine or however they choose to pronounce it, has what's called the Ampligame D6 Stream Controller with 15 customized keys. And I've been using it for a couple weeks now, and not as impressive as the Stream Deck. It doesn't have as many of the plugins and everything, but for the basic shortcuts and app things, and my Photoshop and all of those things, it works. And it's half the price of what the Stream Deck is. So
right.
It's $75 or so.
Yeah, the key is the software. Can you program the keys to do all the things? I'm sure it comes with a lot of pre-programmed templates.
It does.
But like you said, it doesn't have as many of the plugins. So like if I use like Keyboard Maestro, which is automation software on the Mac, to do most of my customization on my Stream Decks. I'd be curious if there was a Keyboard Maestro plugin or anything like that.
I haven't dug into that.
For half the price, it might be worthwhile to check it out. Just even if you like for things like Photoshop or any of the Adobe programs or anything like that, they have so many features and so many keys. It's nice to have something where it's just there in front of you. You don't have to go searching in menus. It's always right there in front of you to use. So it's such a great thing. Yeah. So
my big thing is in the basement of our rectory here. We're building a studio, and what I wanted to get set up was that as the computer boots in a single press of a couple buttons, my less tech savvy counterparts can press those two buttons and be recording a video.
Right.
And it's and I didn't want to spend a ton of money on it, and they didn't need the huge functionality that I need on my Stream Deck. So it works great.
Or something basically like that. Yeah, that's a good idea. Excellent. Thomas, what's your pick this week?
All right, so I got to pick a game this week. So anybody who's not aware, Indie Developer Week is coming up. It's this next week in September. So all of the indie developers are releasing their indie titles, and every single one of them pushed their dates back because tomorrow the sequel to Hollow Knight is coming out, and everyone is anticipating that game is going to have so much popularity that their game is going to get swamped. So everything got moved back. Not the game I'm talking about, though. The game I'm talking about is the game called Starbirds, which is by a collaboration between the creators of Dwarf Romantic, which is a game company called Tucana, independent game company, but then the YouTube channel Cruisescast that does like really cool educational videos. They have a very unique art style. This game is a lot of fun. It's a chill, laid back game, no pressure. There's not like not a lot of competition. It's just an exploration and building game. And the demo is available already on Steam if you want to go check it out. It releases September 10th. A lot of fun. My kids are loving it. I'm going to buy like 4 copies of it at least to hand out to all of them, probably more. But highly recommended. It's really cool. Very well designed. A lot of fun to play. I'm looking forward to the full version.
Cool. That looks like fun. I like resource management sorts of games, especially if they're low pressure.
Yeah. And this one's totally low pressure. It's really like the only pressure you're going to apply is going to be yourself to get it done faster or meet all of the, all of the merit goals. So.
Yeah. I have a different pick, but you reminded me of something that should be a pick, but I'll just throw it out here. No Man's Sky is a game that's been around for 10 years, and they have never charged for an update in 10 years. And that game just gets better and better all the time. And they just came out with an update last week. It's a universe exploration game with a procedurally generated universe with trillions of possible planets. They came up with an update last week where you can now build your own, they call it Corvette, which is like a sort of a medium-sized spaceship. They're coming for Starfield, basically.
Oh yeah.
And it is so much, it has added so much fun to the game. It's so much, and it's on sale for like $24 or something crazy right now, on all the consoles and on PC. It's available on the Mac, of course. So much fun. Just to throw that out there. But that's not my pick of the week, because my pick is something a little more pedestrian, because I thought of it before. But this will be important in a couple months, because in a couple months Thanksgiving's gonna come around, and you're gonna start thinking about all those Christmas lights you want to hang on your house. And you're going to want to control them remotely, or like I did this past summer, I wanted patio lights on my patio. I don't want to control them remotely. I found that the Miros outdoor Wi-Fi outlet with 3 independent sockets is really good. I've had a couple of different outdoor ones that, like, there was the last one I had to every once in a while unplug it and plug it back in, which to make it be recognized again, to be seen by the HomeKit system, which is like exactly the opposite point of what I want from an automation system. I don't want to have to, manually deal with it. So what it does is it plugs into an outdoor outlet, and it's got 3 different sockets that can be independently controlled from Google Home, the Alexa. I will say Alexa because I turn her off, or HomeKit, and it works great. It's $26. You can plug 3 different things into it. I always plug my Christmas lights into it, and they go on automatically at dusk. They go off at bedtime, and that sort of thing. It's a simple thing. It's one of those simple home automation things that is like it makes it very easy to add. Even if it's one of your first things you add. In fact, frankly, I think this sort of thing should, if you're just dipping your toe into home automation, this is the sort of thing you start with, because you don't have to convince your wife, right? Like that. Stop using the switch to turn the lights on and off. Use this other button, or talk to the A lady or the S lady. No, this is just something you can play with and learn how to do. It's a good way to get into it.
I wholeheartely agree with that.
Yeah,
not having to teach someone else to do it, but you get to play with it yourself.
Exactly. And Miros is a good brand. A lot of brands have come and gone, but Miros has been a pretty good brand for me over the years. So that's I want to recommend that. I'll have links to all that in the show notes, of course. And that's it from us. We would love to get your thoughts on any of the things we've discussed tonight. We covered a lot of ground, especially in the tech, education tech. So let us know by commenting on the show at sqpn.com/technology or the StarQuest Facebook page, facebook.com/StarQuestMedia. Send an email to technology@sqpn.com. Visit the StarQuest Discord community at sqpn.com/Discord. You'll find links from our discussion and our picks of the week on our show notes at starquest.fm/TEC312. Remember to like each episode of Secrets of Tech wherever you find us on social media, like on Facebook, or retweet us on X, or leave us comments wherever you find us. We love to hear from you. So until next time, Thomas Sanjurjo, thank you for joining me and sharing the secrets of technology.
It's been great.
Father Joseph's son, thank you as well.
We'll see you next time.
And once again, I'm Dom Bettinelli. Thank you for listening to the Secrets of Technology on StarQuest. Here's another show on the StarQuest network you're sure to enjoy, The Secrets of Middle-earth. Find it wherever you can find podcasts or at sqpn.com/Middle-earth.